Welcome to the online video tutorial series of your subject Advanced Script Programming. I am Jishan Sikh, Assistant Professor in IT/ICT Department of LG Institute of Engineering and Technology. This video is all about the document object model from your unit number 1, refreshing CSS and JavaScript. So let's start with today's topic, document object model. But before that, you must go to the previous video that covered the basic of CSS and introduction of your JavaScript and what is event handling and error handling of your JavaScript. So the basics of JavaScript is already covered in previous video. So we understand now document object model here. So why the document object model is used here? The question is that. So the DOM is one common standard that will be provided by W3C, that is your World Wide Web construct. So it provides one accessing when you want to access some document from web. How can you access? What are the ways to access those documents? That standard is followed. That standard must be followed by all the developers who are creating that type of facility. So DOM is responsible for giving one common platform using that user can easily access all this data throughout the internet. So when you are developing that, any developer is managing all this type of functionality. So DOM is standards differently provide 3 steps: core DOM, XML DOM and HTML DOM. So when we are talking about the core DOM, it is common for all the documents that type of document is supported by online web pages. Next is XML DOM. So XML DOM is providing the standard model for XML document only. And third one is HTML DOM. That HTML DOM is providing one standard that will be followed by our HTML documents. So in this video or our curriculum, we are following only HTML DOM. So let's understand how can we use DOM here. Okay. So HTML DOM is a standard object model and programming interface for HTML only. So what type of functionality defined by that? So it defines the HTML elements as an object here. Any element of HTML. If you are taking P, if you are taking form tag, div tag, any tag. If you want to consider as an object, then we can manipulate to know the use of object in any programming language. If you have an object and class concept, then you can easily access, insert, update, delete can be possible. But when we are talking about normal HTML, then it is a static language. We cannot manipulate that. That's why DOM is coming here. So here next is the properties of all HTML elements. So the properties provided by these elements we can access also here with the help of DOM. Next is we can access all the HTML elements. We have number of methods and we have number of events here for accessing the elements. So we are in this video we will see all these things one by one. So what are the DOM is providing number of objects for accessing our HTML form. So for that basically we are considering the majorly objects. That major objects will be a window object, document object, form object and form control elements. So when we are talking about the window object, that is the top of our hierarchy, because any elements which we are seeing in our display screen of browser all are the part of window. If we are writing anything, that will be a part of documents, because document contains by our web page. Form is all about whatever we are writing inside the form tag. All the elements can be considered as a form object. And form control elements, that the form object contains all the elements that defined by text field, buttons and the interaction between them, that will be handled by form control elements. So for that, one root hierarchy is here. You can see at the top window is there, and from the window we are taking left, right and three child are there, From that document is useful. From document we are in one, that document we are writing form, and form having different child, that will be your button, text field, checkbox, XYZ. So from this hierarchy you can understand easily. Window is on the top, then document is useful, then in document form is there, and the number of elements are there. Now we are understanding what number of methods for document object, that will be useful. If you want to write something on your screen, on your browser using JavaScript, you must use one basic method. Which method? Document.write. Your write method is there. So in the basic program of JavaScript, if you want to print something, then you can use document.write here. So now you are understanding exactly how the document object is used, and write method, the use of your write method. The same way you can use write-ln method for writing data in the new line. Automatically every time you are writing, it will write in the new line of your browser. The next methods are very useful here. That method will be document.get element by ID, document.get element by name, get element by tag name, get element by class name. So these all the methods are very useful because you are playing with your HTML elements, because we are using ID, we are using class, we are using text. So if we want to get the information from our HTML page using our script, we can use this type of methods. Let's take one basic example using the get element by ID. We have number of methods. From that I am taking here only get element by ID. So here in this script we have one method, that is a get cube. First understand what is our HTML portion. So in HTML portion I am writing one form tag. In form I am writing enter number, that is my text. So I am taking input type text. One ID, I am taking one ID. ID is number, name is number. So simply here I am taking text enter number, and then I am taking one text field. Now I am taking one button here, input type button, values cube, and on click event I am putting here one function name is get cube. So what happened here? User is saying browser having enter number, then text field and button. When user is entering button and pressing the button, the value of cube, it will call method will be get cube. So what happened here generally, how the particular script is knowing that from which text field I am taking the values. Suppose in your program you have more than one text field, then how can we differentiate that? For that uniqueness we are taking here one ID here. The ID is number. So script is taking the value from your text field using document.get element by ID. In the parameter of document.get element by ID, we have to write the ID name, which will be used during the generation of our text field. So your ID is number, that will be passed here, and we are using dot value, that is the compulsory portion. If you are not taking dot value, it is not getting the value here. Okay, so the value which is entered by user in the text field, that will be a get by this code, and we are storing in one variable name is number. And in the last I am just printing this cube using multiplying this number variable 3 times and putting that into the alert. So whenever we are running this, then in the answer I am getting one alert box as a cube of that user input number. So this is the example. If we are, this is the display of your output. In that user is entering the value, and according to that we are getting one alert box with the help of this output. So this is we have to understand here how we are using get element by ID. Okay, so get element by ID is use the value of ID here only. We are not using the value of number, because you can see here ID name and number name where both the property having same value, but we are using here which property? ID here. Now we are moving to the next one, that is a manipulation of DOM. So creating the HTML elements, if we want to in that elements before something, if we want to remove elements, if we want to replace element, that will be a manipulation of particular DOM with the help of DOM. Suppose we are understanding this manipulation with the help of this basic example. In my HTML tag, I am taking here one div tag. In div, I am taking three paragraph tag. Okay, that paragraph tag having P1 tag, P2 tag, and two times I am taking P2 tag here. Okay, P2 or P3, you whatever you. Okay, now what happened here? Suppose I want to remove this one. Suppose I want to remove this one. Then what happened here? How can we do? Manually. Manually, you want to go in the code, then you are removing this line. But if I want to perform this with the help of JavaScript, uh, suppose I want to remove P1 tag without changing in the code of my HTML, without changing a single line in my HTML code, I want to remove this. The same way, if I want to insert new element here, if I want to insert new P element here, okay, without changing my HTML code, how can we perform? Using the manipulation of DOM. So this is a very interesting and beautiful concept with the help of JavaScript. So let's understand one by one here. Suppose I want to insert a new paragraph here. So first understand this is the output P1, P2, P3, and then I am adding a new P tag here. But here you have to take care about that. In this code, I'm not writing, I'm not changing anything. Okay. So the same HTML code is there, but I am writing something in my script code. So what is the script code? So for that, first we have to understand some basics. Okay. So what is the basic of that? Here, first we are creating one element. Which element we want to insert? Suppose I want to insert P element. So for that I am writing document.create element and element name is P. Okay. What the text of that element? Okay. For that we have to create one node. So for that we have a method create text node. In the parameter value is new P tag. So from the first line I am creating one element. That element name is P. The value of that element is given by create text node, the value is new P tag. Now next task is that we have to add that particular node. So for that we are adding in that P tag dot append child P node. So P tag is considering P paragraph tag, P node having the value. So that's why we are putting the value of that particular node in our paragraph tag. Now our next task is to join that particular, we have to display that, then we have to append that. For that we are taking one position. That position will come from my div here. So at which place I want to add new P tag. For that I am taking the reference here div1. Okay. So that's why I am taking document.get element by id, which position div1, and that will be a storing P element. That is my variable element. Now which elements I want to insert? That elements is my P tag. So in P tag I have a new P tag with the text new P tag. So for that we have to use which method? Append child. So append child method is helping us to append a new element in our particular HTML file. So ele.append child P tag. So that will be output of this. So without changing in our HTML file, we are adding a new paragraph tag here. Now next we are moving to new concept. That concept is insert before. Suppose I want to insert the new P tag between P2 and P1. By default what happens here? By default it is inserted after the third P element. But if I want to insert this P tag between P1 and P2, for that we have to use the concept of insert before method. Okay. So first four line of your program is same here. P tag is there, P node is there, append child is there. We are selecting the div. For first four line is same. Okay. After that we have to take care that we are using from which element we have to insert that. For that we are taking the one child variable document.get element by id P2. So we already know that in P2 id is here. So before that we insert before method is used. So first we have to choose from which particular element we have to insert before that. So I am selecting here get element by id P2. Now we are using the method, which method? Insert before method. So So insert before method is telling the our HTML element that our new element inserted before this element. So here we are choosing which element before that, P2. So insert before method is adding our new P tag before our P2 tag. So if normally we are inserted, it insert automatically after the P3 tag. That will be a fourth line. But before that, if we want to import that, then that will be our insert before method. Now the same way we are using the manipulation of now for removing child. So for removing child, we have to use which method? Remove child method. First six line of code are first 5 line is same. For removing, just we have to write that remove child method, and we have to tell the which child we have to remove. So here get element by ID P2. If I want to remove P2 here, then I am storing that value into the child variable, and remove child I am passing that value. So you can see in the output that value will be changed here. So this is the removing, and last one is replacing. If suppose I want to replace fixed P tag. Suppose in P2 ID we have P2 tag text, but instead of that, if I want to write new thing, new element, my value is new P tag. So if I want to change the value, then we have to use which method? Replace child here. So replace child will be replace child method will change the particular our P element. So for replace child we have two parameters, P tag and child. So you can see in output instead of P2 tag, our new P tag will be inserted. So this is the basic idea how we are manipulating the DOM. Now we are moving to our next, that will be a asynchronous programming part. So when we are talking about this synchronous and asynchronous, what is the basic difference between them? So when we are talking about the concept of synchronous and asynchronous, we have to take care about the threading concept. In script, you know your program is smoothly working, but when any error is occurring, that will be handled by our script engine itself. For that, main thread is working here. Only if we are talking about the synchronous programming, then only single thread, that is the main thread, is handled all that type of responsibility. But when we are talking about the asynchronous programming, at that time, multiple threads will be working. One main thread is there, child threads are working for that. So after the completion of that work, that is submitted to the main thread. That is the concept. So asynchronous programming is a form of parallel programming that allows a unit of work to run separately, and they are independent from each other, and after that assigns that value to the primary thread. So when the work is completed, it notifies true. So there are number of benefits of using that has improved the application performance, enhance the responsiveness. So when we are talking about the JavaScript, then there are two types asynchronous code in JavaScript code: old style callbacks and newer promise style code. So old style callbacks is nothing but we are passing the parameter in that method that understand which number of or how many threads are working. Then promise like thread will be working like that. Suppose we are fetching something from server, so some function will be continuously monitoring that, and from that we are taking the values and generating and displaying to the browser. So in short, in asynchronous programming, you have to take care about the threading concept. So if we are talking about the synchronous, then single thread application is there. And when we are talking about the asynchronous programming, then multiple thread is working here. So this is the all about today's session. Thank you for watching this video.